Welcome back to another unsolicited and uneducated football analysis with your friend David Valentin. This time to give you guys a review of what just happened in week 2 of our MLS campaign. We went to Chicago and we won a game. Yes, we did. 1-0 was the result. But once again, the referee had to get involved. The referee, to me, is not the problem here, but the VAR. Who was the VAR for this game? Seren Stroika, a man that has been a poison and a cancer for football in this country, in this continent. If you're an Orlando City fan, this name may sound familiar to you, as this man has been involved in several conflicting and controversial moves. For example, he was the one that called a foul against Orlando City, as Orlando City was winning 2-0 in Columbus. That game turned out to be 2-2 draw, because obviously Orlando was mad that they had conceded this penalty that till this day nobody knows what happened. And then we conceded a goal while we were rattled by it, and that's it. It cost us points. In fact, while I wouldn't say that it cost us playoffs that year, it certainly did not help the cause. In the past, Orlando City has been involved in several super controversial calls prior to VAR. And in retrospect, maybe VAR would have never helped us in getting a better result. I'm still bitter that 2016 the playoffs were missed because of bad decisions that Pro later apologized. But we're not going to go down memory lane today. We're just going to talk about what happened in Chicago. Junior Urso, with an assist from Facundo Torres, scored a goal. The VAR says that Ercan Kara handled the ball. Three things, in my opinion, say otherwise. Number one, the reaction of the Chicago Fire players. None of them started screaming, handball, handball, or anything like that. They just accepted that they had conceded a goal. Number one. Number two, that you can see in his reaction that he just tightens his chest and lowers his hands. And we cannot see a clear and obvious reason to overturn the call on the pitch. Also, I want to read you guys some things that I found out about VAR that was introduced in 2018 as part of the rules of the game by the International Football Association Board. The purpose of VAR is to minimize interference and maximize benefit. Minimize interference and maximize benefit. Let's ask ourselves if that happened last night. I don't think so. Lastly, purpose of VAR. The reason why it exists. To correct clear and obvious errors on the pitch. Now, I'm sorry, but I saw the review, the video that supposedly was provided to the ref, and I did not see evidence that supported the idea that Ercan Kara handled the ball. To me, what is bad about this is that once again VAR, which by the way it took almost 4 minutes for the official to make a decision. If you have to split hairs, it's not clear and obvious. I would love to see what Pro Referees, the organization that licenses the officials that on game day in USL, NWSL, and MLS officiate over. Not to be over redundant. What do they say? When you have a league, okay, when you have a league that has a sponsored internet show where they go over the controversial plays of the weekend, and the talking head said, "Yeah, this was good, this was bad." I'm sorry, my friends. You take away the luster of our league. All leagues have controversial calls, absolutely. And I used to beat my chest in front of my friends who live overseas. And I used to say, in the United States, we know how to use VAR. We rarely have problems. But evidently, I was lying to myself and I was lying to my friends, because the reality is that either the league hates Orlando City. Orlando City has the worst decisions in the world going against them, or we have incompetent officials that don't know how to use the technology. As I have said many times in my videos, I make a living repairing surgical equipment, medical equipment. I have an associate's degree and bachelor's degree in electronics engineering and biomedical equipment. And one of the things that we always say is that technology in the hands of idiots is useless. That's our inside joke among technicians and engineers. That great technology in the hands of idiots is useless, and it's true. There wouldn't be a medical malpractice. There wouldn't be people getting hurt in hospitals if everybody was proficient at their jobs. But that's a story for another day. What I'm trying to say here, my friends, is that a lot of effort, a lot of training time and money goes into a season for any team. And to take away the fruit of that effort is a disservice not only to the league but to the fans, who all of a sudden feel distrust on the officials. And if you have distrust on the officials, then you're gonna have distrust on the league. And this is when, if you fill the void, because the league is not doing anything to change this ideology, then what happens is people start believing that the league has favorites and the league fixes games. My friends, there's nothing worse than a league that has zero integrity. So it's a call out to all fans. All fans understand this, because if you're a fan of any team, you have been wronged at some point by VAR. And I'm not gonna stand here and say that there hasn't been occasions where VAR has not gone in our favor. Very few, but it has, when they should have gone the opposite direction. And I know that, and I'll admit to that. But the reality is that unfortunately, the league keeps sweeping this under the rug. It was a bad decision, aside from the fact that the pitch was in awful condition. It was uneven. The grass was way too high. And it just made for awful football for both teams. So Chicago gets a gift, and Orlando gets 2 points taken away. As we saw last year, a bad VAR decision cost Orlando City the opportunity to host at home. And I'm not saying that this would have given Orlando the opportunity to move further into the playoffs. But what if? What if had Orlando hosted New York City? Would have New York City been the champion today? Would have Orlando City been out in the first round of the playoffs? We don't know. All we know is that everybody agrees that the decision that was made by VAR last year was wrong, costing Orlando City that extra game. That extra game means revenue. Okay? Revenue. because the way the playoffs are set up right now is the teams that host get rewarded for having a great season, so with more money. And unfortunately, Orlando City was not rewarded. And that, my friends, it's what happened last night as I'm recording this. Once again, Orlando City gets deducted. So many of you will say, well, Dave, it's just week 2. Who cares? What's going to happen on week 34? What if we miss playoffs by a point or 2? What happens if we miss hosting a game because of a point or 2? What happens if we miss Supporter Shield by a point or 2? We're going to go back to this game. And we're going to go back to this awful decision that once again, the same officials, we know who they are. There's a reason Ted Uncle does not officiate Orlando City games. Because him and his wife have been found to be incompetent and biased when refereeing games against Orlando City. As a matter of fact, I have watched enough Orlando City games to see that Ted Uncle, in 4 of them, has given straight red to Orlando City players. That's not a coincidence, my friends. And if the league agrees with Orlando City, and pro referees agrees with Orlando City that referee should not be part of the crew overseeing a particular team, then, my friends, there may be substantial evidence against them. So, with that said, am I upset? You know what? Football is cruel and unpredictable. So we move on. So what's going to happen is this next Saturday, Orlando City is coming back to Exploria Stadium, welcoming FC Cincinnati, a team that is having a really, really bad season. As a matter of fact, they have finished dead last for the last 3 years. This year is looking like a 3-way race between them, Miami, and Charlotte for that wooden spoon, that last spot. So we'll have to see. What do I expect Orlando City to do? I expect Orlando City to destroy FC Cincinnati in the only way that we know how, by a ton of goals. I expect zero mercy. And I expect Cincinnati to pay for the broken glass that Chicago has left behind. And Chicago, well, we're going to see them at home here in a few weeks. And we are going to make sure to remind them who should have won that game. Thank you again, my friends, for watching the video. Give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe. That will be appreciated by me. And I want to remind everybody that I am at Loud and Proud Orlando Monday nights, 8:30, right here on YouTube in the Loud and Proud Orlando channel with my friend Luz Pineda. We're going to be talking about all the things Orlando City for the past week. And you can interact with us, ask us questions, comments, all that good stuff. You can watch it live. Guess what? It's going to be recorded. You can go watch it later on YouTube. And you can also listen to us in audio form in your preferred podcast application. Also, you can follow me at Florida_man76 on Twitter, my preferred social media platform to talk all things Orlando City, all things Maccabi Haifa, all things Stevenage, all things football. So with that said, thank you very much. I'll see you on the next video.